Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be talking about Black Clover episode 79, and I honestly really like this episode a lot. I've been kind of liking the tournament episodes a little bit more every time there is an episode, so I'm really kind of digging this so far. Now, before we get too far into everything, I just want to kind of bring one thing up. Now, I've been calling him Xerx because that's the name that he gave all of the other characters, and he basically stole somebody's identity. However, the narrator called our red-haired friend Zora, and full disclosure, I knew his name was Zora because I looked him up. However, did they ever call him that before? I guess I don't really quite remember when he first appeared, whether he gave a name or not. All I remember is him showing up, them saying, Who are you? And then he took the real Xerx's cloak and showed up and called himself Xerx. So I don't know whether that's something that they just kind of neglected to set up, or whether I missed something. I feel like I miss a lot of things with Black Clover. I mostly watch this show just to kind of chill out, so maybe I'm missing major details here and they're just right in front of me that I never really noticed or don't remember. I don't know. Either way, his name is Zora. That's out in the open, at least to the audience. Everybody else still thinks he's Xerx. I like Zora. Zora's like Sora from Kingdom Hearts, so I don't know. Zora. Beyond Zora, who, again, I actually really like, we see a little bit more into... This is kind of like a backflash episode in a lot of ways, because it's like we see a little bit more into Kirsch and Mimosa's past. Not much by comparison to Soul's, but we see a little bit of their past, and it's I think, assumingly their family, and they're looking down on a bunch of commoners, and Kirsch is basically just telling Mimosa as a child that, hey, poor people are scumbags, and see, that little girl's stealing, and she'll probably grow up to be a robber, or just a terrible person, but that's not really the truth, and he's just being a dickhead. So he's been a dipshit his entire life, basically, and I am hesitant to say that he's learned a lesson because we really don't know this for sure, but he seems to be coming around at least a little bit by the end of the episode. At the very, very least, he has some kind of respect for his teammates and for maybe those around him that are not nobility, so he's got room to grow at the very least. I still don't care for him, though, and it has nothing to do with him being a snobby or a rich person kind of mentality of sorts. There are good characters that fit that role. I just think he's kind of an ass, and I guess that's the point. Now, where I have my feelings changed 0% for Kirsch from his backflash, I actually kind of really like Soul now, way more than I did before. So Soul has been kind of set up as this I hate is a strong word, but she doesn't particularly care for men in general, and that's kind of the theme of her squad, I think the Blue Rose Knights, and that's kind of their theme anyways. However, she particularly seems to have kind of a poor opinion of men in general, and she very often generalizes these men in general, so it's oh, you're a guy? Well, then you're probably an idiot and a scumbag and whatever. And it doesn't matter whether they're actually a nice guy or not. She just doesn't care. She is way more about her captain, Charlotte, and women in her squad than she is about men. But we learn why exactly now. And it's a pretty sad backstory to some degree. So when she was younger, she lived in a village, and a pretty modest village, and a bunch of the adults had to go take care of some business out of town, and she's always been kind of tough. So she said, hey, I'll watch the place. I'm going to take care of everything. But then all the boys and kind of men around, although the adults seem to kind of be a bit more accepting of her, but the boys around her kind of put her down, saying that she's a girl. Why doesn't she go help the mothers and the other women take care of housework and whatever? They'll protect everything. In which case, they a bunch of frauds. So her story kind of goes from them leaving, the adults leaving, or at least a handful of the adults leaving to go take care of business, and them saying, hey, if anything happens, call the Magic Knights, they'll come and help. No matter what happens, they'll take care of things. Lo and behold, their village gets attacked by a random group of marauders or whatever, and they're stealing women left and right and just pillaging. And Soul's just like, hey, I gotta do something. And she tries to stand up for herself. However, she's not exactly the strongest wizard at this point. I don't think she even had a grimoire at this point. So she doesn't exactly have a leg to stand on, even if she is mentally tough. She tries to fend off some of these guys that are attacking and ends up getting captured. And just when she's getting captured by these guys, one of the boys that put her down about being weak and fragile and saying like, oh, let the boys and the men handle this, shows up, and he's just pissing his pants. He is totally afraid. And like a coward, he runs away and just lets her get like almost captured. Meanwhile, these like marauders are like they're essentially saying that they're going to have their way with her, and no. In the end, Charlotte, who I don't know if she was a captain at this point, but she was definitely part of the Blue Rose squad, as she comes down, saves the day, and saves her entire village, and presumably, the entire Magic Knight squad of hers saved the entire village in general. And that basically gave Soul a goal to reach, someone to chase after and to aspire to be. And you know what? I kind of like the relationship a lot more now that I know where it's based off of. And I have a lot more respect for Soul now that I know why she kind of hates men so much. And again, hate is the strong word because I think she does have some respect for certain people. Obviously, she doesn't always generalize, but it seems like she's got some real baggage with this kind of situation, and there's a good reason for it. So yeah, I like her a little bit more than I actually did before. Not that I had any poor opinions of her, but I like her a bit more now. Moving on, Mimosa has some pretty cool magic. So we already knew about her laser cannon flower thing, which is basically just a solar beam from Pokemon. But now she also has this like little seed thing that it's essentially a leech seed in a way from Pokemon. I'm a lot of the Pokemon references, but it's basically a way that like she plants it on her opponent, and as long as they don't notice and can like tear it off, given some time, she can eventually take over her opponent in some way. So her goal is basically to take over Soul's giant golem thing because the crystal is inside of it, so she needs to rip it open. So I really like Mimosa's magic. I like Mimosa a lot too. Meanwhile, you have Asta and Magna going at it, and Magna's trying to take out their crystal, and Magna has developed a magic fireball that disappears just as it's about to hit. So that's basically Boruto's disappearing Rasengan. It's a cool technique no matter how you spin it. So you got Asta going at him. Zora is setting up trap spells everywhere, all around, as they're kind of going at it, and helps take down both Magna and Kirsch, because Kirsch comes in, gets trapped in there. Asta knocks him out again, and really just Magna gets himself, because Zora sets up this magic circle right on the crystal so that it'll reflect the whatever magic attacks come at it right back at its the opponent. So it really just bounces back. The disappearing fireball bounces back to Magna and knocks him out, and that's kind of funny. Ultimately, Asta's team wins, and that's kind of to be expected because I do not see him losing up until they get to the very end of the tournament anyways. Like, if he doesn't end up in some way being part of this Magic Knights squad to go after the Eye of the Midnight Sun, I'll be very surprised. Meanwhile, you have Zora basically just digging into all of like the whole thing is like after he knocks out an opponent, he basically just like rips into them, and on one hand, he kind of explains pretty, not nicely, but like, he actually does Soul and Magna a favor by telling them, hey, these are your weaknesses. Meanwhile, with Kirsch, he just basically rips into him because he's a dickhead. Really, that's how it is. So yeah, that's the entire episode. I actually liked it a lot. The next match is going to be Finral's team versus his brother's team. So hopefully, I think this is the final, like, family versus family match. I'm kind of getting tired of those. I realize just you kind of have a bunch of family members all on different teams, so it's like eventually it was going to happen. But hey, I don't know. So hopefully within the next couple episodes we'll get done with that and we can just move on to just general teams versus other teams and not having any weird grudges against each other. Overall, I like this episode because it really kind of showed a bit more about both kind of Mimosa, Kirsch, and mostly Soul, and I really respect her a lot more than I did before. But what did you guys think? Let me know down below in the comments section. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like. I would greatly appreciate it. And if you want to see more from me, make sure to hit the subscribe button and ring the bell so that you can get all the notifications when I upload. I like this episode a lot. I thought it was kind of a bit more low-key in a lot of ways, but it was also pretty good, honestly. I will see you guys in another video. Have a great one. Bye!